Hey YouTube, it's Robert Hall, and in today's video we're going to pause from all the gear talk and we're going to do a little bit of a behind the scenes journal. We're going to talk and break down some of the images that I've captured over the last few weeks. So when I got started on this channel, one of the things that I immediately fell into was always talking about the gear, because it was an easy thing to do. It's an easy thing to review and talk about how equipment impacts your life as a photographer or what you think of a product. But as I get deeper in this YouTube thing, I just want to talk more about creating images, whether that's the technique behind making them or just some of the decision making or even day-to-day life of capturing images as a profession. So I thought one of the things that I would start doing somewhat regularly is just doing a BTS journal behind the scenes of various images and talking about the process of capturing them along with the equipment that's used. So we're going to go through some images and talk about what it took to make them. Never worked in Photoshop full screen before, so there might be some growing pains here. Alright, so the first shot that we got up is a portrait, more of a headshot style, somewhere in between beauty and headshot kind of an image. So I don't typically shoot glamour, but I just jumped into a new studio and I'm in there with some friends, one of them who does primarily glamour photography, and I was in there the same week that we were setting up and wanted to work with Bree here, who you see on screen. And before we jumped into the glamour work, I wanted to try out a little quick beauty setup with her, dust off the old beauty dish, which I have not used in a while. The reason that I actually really wanted to use a beauty dish is because when I was talking to Jim Schmeltzer, who I did the Panasonic video with, he was talking about how in the past beauty dishes never had a completely solid deflector plate. He said they all had a transparent disc in the center, and that way there was still that pop of light in the center, but it was a little bit more balanced with the edge light. And he said never in the original patent was there supposed to be a deflector plate in the center to completely eliminate that hot spot in the center. And one of the beauty dishes I have is a Glow beauty dish, a 20.5 inch, and it has a deflector plate, but it also has a diffusion disc in the center. So I just wanted to put that to the test and see what that looked like, because all I've ever seen is a beauty dish with a full deflector plate on the inside. Here's the behind the scenes real quick. So we've got the 21-inch beauty dish over top that is on a Cheetah boom stand, and it's a 8600 Pro with the extension head. Directly below the model is a silver reflector, so we're kind of getting some clamshell style lighting right here, where we've got the key light above the model and then bouncing light back. The background, we've got that impact Fresnel head, which this is the first time that I've put it on that 8600 Pro. And if you notice on the background, there's actually this weird like dark spot in the center of the background where it hits. It's dark, bright, and then it starts to get dark again. And I gotta think that has something to do with the diffusion that is on the front of the glass of the 8600 Pro. So I might investigate using some other type of background lights, because I really don't like how that looks. I would want that to be brightest in the center. This is on aquamarine paper from Superior Papers, and the background light, the hair light, is the Explorer 600 Pro, and it's just got a steel Bowens mount snoot that I've had forever. You can get these plastic versions of it now, but to be honest, that's a really old modifier right there, and I love it that it's all steel. It's great for the studio work. Now when we actually captured the image, the model would have been a little bit to the left in the image, so she would have been directly below the beauty dish. What I really love about this is the highlights that you get on the cheek. I really like how this looks because it's not only broad lighting, but you still get that Rembrandt shadow. You can see that the tip of her nose shadow just barely catches with that cheek shadow, but then you still get the separation from that kicker light right there. And yeah, I just really liked how it turned out. The one thing that I wasn't in love with is if we go all the way in here on her eye, you see that like rippled reflector look, and that's just because the reflector isn't super taut. Maybe a flatter reflector would have given a better catch light in the bottom of her eye right there, but you see the top catch light of the beauty dish and then the bottom catch light of the reflector. But overall, for not doing these type of beauty shoots often, I really liked how this one came out. Alright, so this one right here is a little bit older of one. You may have seen it on my Instagram, or I might have included it in another YouTube video, but I really dug what I did here. So on this shoot, I've got a 28-inch beauty dish, camera right. That's the key light lighting the subject. It is to my right, and the image kind of lighting across the table. And you actually get a little bit of fill. It would normally be a little bit more dramatic, but because it's bouncing off that table, we're also filling those shadows in and so I really liked how it looked for just one light. Now the trick here though is these lights above him were orange, but if you look at this ambient, if you look at that ambient, it's also really, really warm. And I really wanted to amp up the orange of this because he had that blue shirt on, so I thought the warm and cool, if you guys have ever seen a movie poster, warm and cool always works. So we've got the blue on his shirt, then we've got the orange up top, and I really wanted to emphasize that. So I've got a half CTB gel on my key light, which allows me to increase the white balance all the way up, and then I get a completely warm background. So even this ambient light that's coming in, that's cloudy, and that should be like 6000K, but we got the camera up higher past 7000 to get that really warm environment. Now I also wanted to get a little bit of separation from all this darkness back here and just kind of create some interest on the left side of the frame, because I love that you've got this warm light hitting his hair and then it's all clean color on the face, and then this blue right here just adds a little bit of interest, and that was done with another 8200, which is camera left, and that's gridded with a blue effect gel. Now the cool thing about a color effect gel is that you're not losing any of that blue color. Even though we're altering the white balance of it, it's still blue enough that it's going to show up. So again guys, we got blue effect gel coming from camera left on a grid. This is all ambient light, and then the key light has a half CTB gel, and the color temperature of the camera is around 7100 Kelvin. Now I did a similar thing in this image. So if this was completely natural light, then she would have been a complete silhouette, because this is all backlighting here. So if you see all these pillars around here, they're steel and typically a neutral gray, silver color, right? But because I had that CTB gel on the key light, everything else, once I increase that white balance, takes on that golden look. And I'm not doing this just to call attention back to my original video that I did on the CTB gel. The reason that I do this so much at the university is right here. This is their logo. They are the Golden Grizzlies. So whenever I get the chance to turn daylight into gold, I take it. So this is not late in the day. We do not have any overcast or anything like this. This is a blue sky in the background, and I just chose to go with that gold bright aesthetic in the background, especially since she was wearing all black. Dark always pops out over light and vice versa, so that's kind of why I went that route. And honestly, if I wanted to have any blue in that sky, I was going to need a more powerful light in that instance, but I don't typically carry anything but 8200s around the university because most of the work we do is indoors. I haven't worked a summer there yet. Once we get to the summer, I'll probably start carrying the 8400 Pro, or maybe even an 8600 Pro along with me, just so we can tackle more of those bright situations. So this is obviously from the same shoot, and I've got another BTS here. So before we go back to that main shot, let's just talk about the BTS. So we got two 8200s in the background, both with the round head and the AKR1 modifiers. On the right here, we've got the grid. On the left here, we've got the snoot. Those can pretty much be interchanged because the grid and the snoot tend to restrict basically the same pattern of light. I wish the snoot had a smaller hole on it so that you could restrict it even more, but that's not how they decided to produce it. So I put them on interchangeably. Those are my rear lights, and then all these people on the sides, they're all throwing confetti in the air. The two in the back are actually managing this golden lace right here because this was promoting an event that I think it was called Go for the Gold or something. But anyways, we're trying to get that gold element in there. Made some pretty interesting bokeh, and then the two in the front were actually throwing confetti in the air using 35mm f1.4. That is the Zeiss on my Sony a7R III. So we are in like a pitch black room, but I'm at ISO 64 1/200 f1.8, trying to get a shallow depth of field, but at the same time trying to make sure that I'm not getting any ambient light in the final image. Let's take a look at that final image. All right, there's one right there. We did a ton of these. I probably shot like 15 frames over like 5 different throws. So we've got quite a few different looks of these, but this was one of my favorites. Didn't really like what happened with the gold lace back here when they dropped it. On this one, we have some other ones that I like better, but man, I just love how the confetti completely fills the frame, and there's no adjustments here. I could totally go back and fill in this upper left corner here if I wanted to. And this was tough because you've got a lot of moving parts. You've got moving confetti, you've got a moving background, your model might blink, there's flashes flickering, you're in a dark room. So it was a little bit chaotic. We had to run through this and pick up confetti like 3 or 4 times, but ultimately I think we walked away with the image that we were looking for. This is a 28-inch deep parabolic, again gridded this time because I wanted to reduce the amount of spill. Kind of brought down the environment here. This is actually the court where they play basketball on, so you can see it's there's some kind of scuff marks all over, but I liked kind of the grungy aesthetic that it had when we brought that exposure down. And he is an athletic director, and we didn't want to make him look like a basketball coach, so that's why you don't see any hoops in there. We just wanted a semi-athletic environment, right? So you've got the gymnasium, you've got the bright lights up, you've got the rows of chairs for the fans to sit in, and there's some type of court. Very simple here, just bringing down the ambient light, shining a focus on the subject through lighting by having him be about a stop brighter than the background. Alright, this shot, I don't have too much to talk about here. This is with a 5-foot softbox. If you've seen the 5-foot softbox video, you've already seen this image, but this was like my first day with the Sigma 105mm 1.4. Normally, I would color correct for this background because this is really yellow and my key light is really blue, so when I have a daylight white balance of 5500, the flash looks good, but my background is too warm. But again, Golden Grizzlies, guys, this is for the university, so I don't mind yellow and black or gold and black when those are the team's colors. But what really impressed me when I took this home, because this was not my experience with the 135mm 1.8, is bam, look at that sharpness. I mean, everywhere that is on that plane of focus is super sharp. So it made me feel really nice once I came home and saw the shot to realize that, oh, thank gosh, my Sigma 105 isn't a lemon, because the last time that I tried a Sigma art lens, I was not happy with the results. But yeah, this is at f1.4, so the fall off is really rapid in terms of focus. You can see we go from this sharp area of denim and it immediately falls out of focus, so it looks really nice. And so far, really happy with that lens. This was about a student who interned for the police department and then decided to sign on and go in as a cadet. And so this was freezing outside. I'm blown away that he managed to look so calm and collected when it was extremely cold outside. But they were nice enough to take out one of the cruisers and put it outside for us so that we could get some really cool lights. I wanted to make sure that despite his outfit, I wanted you to understand who and where he was, like who he's working for and what he's pursuing, right? So obviously you can see Township Police Department in the background. I blocked police. I probably shouldn't have blocked police there, to be honest, but getting that cruiser in there, getting the red and blue lights in there instantly means anybody reading and seeing this image will know who this person is and what it's talking about. This was done using the 35mm 1.4, and the reason that I opted for that is because not only was it wide angle and shows a wide scene, but what I really wanted was this look on the ground here. You can see like kind of these circles of bokeh, and that's just the incident highlights of these lights bouncing off the concrete, and that's what I was going for. Another thing that took note here is I had to drop my shutter speed down to about, I think, 1/60th or 1/50th of a second, just to make sure that I was capturing both the red and the blue, because the lights were alternating. So slowing down my shutter speed, opening that duration of time that passes for the photo, keeping a steady hand. I had my elbows directly on the concrete here, really allowed for me to get both that red and blue in one image. And again, my favorite on-location softbox, 28-inch deep parabolic, was used for the key light here. That's the only light that was used in this image. Alright, this one is super interesting. To really explain the meaning behind this image, I think I'd have to go back and read the story just to make sure I'm getting all the details right. But I'm paraphrasing here, but the basic story of this image and what we were trying to convey and what the article is going to be about is that the subject in the photo is a whistleblower. He used to work at a company that was manufacturing bulletproof vests, and he found out that they were faulty and tried getting production stopped, and the company tried to just go on and continue manufacturing and selling them despite knowing that they were faulty. And he basically whistleblew the entire process. Media found out. I think they got in a bunch of trouble. He's been on 60 Minutes, so if you want to look that up, it's a really fascinating story. What I wanted to communicate in this image was a sense of sleeplessness. I wanted to communicate a sense of danger, and also kind of some elements of like Big Brother in here. Now, keep in mind, guys, this isn't like conceptual photography. I'm going on location and working with whatever I'm given. So I really like this little computer station right by the edge, and I try to make it look like night by shining some blue light in. This was right towards the evening. I want to say this is about like 4:30, so that blue light coming in outside. So obviously the key light here is red, 28-inch softbox, and then I have another light up top with a snoot on it, and that's just highlighting that camera, making sure that camera in the top of the image stands out. And to me, this just kind of gave me that like technology and Big Brother is watching, which just worked well with everything that we were doing. Just having him type on the computer, it looks like it's, evening is falling and he's really focused on it. And that red light that's coming in, I was trying to communicate the danger of everything that he was doing, because this is massive businesses that basically collapsed due to him doing the right thing. So I really liked how this one turned out, minus this red spill at the top. Really could have used a grid here and a little bit better of an angle, but I wish that red light only hit him, so it could have taken a bit more care there, but we were working under a really quick time constraint. This is a pretty simple one. This is just a key light, 28-inch beauty dish, you guessed it, and then a rear light with an aqua gel on it. This comes from those gels from flashgels.com. This is part of their color effect gels, and this is a technical environment, a tech student, engineering student, wanted to kind of create some separation just so you're kind of thinking about what's happening outside, as well as illuminate this technology right here and some of the raw elements that are in his environment. One thing I had to watch here is that gel casting a shadow right here, and the first shot that I took, the gel was way too low. The gel light was way too low, and it was casting this shadow like all into his face up here. Half of his ear was cut off, so quickly had one of the marketing team members hold the light up just to get it higher, and then that got me pretty much what I was looking for, where his ear and his neck aren't really obstructed by the cast shadow of the rear light. Okay, everyone, I personally enjoyed going through and talking about, the wheels turning in my head for creating these images. Most of these images, all these ones happening on the university, are happening so fast, so it's kind of nice to go back and reflect and not only think about what you did and why you did them, but also take a look at your work and think, what could I do better next time? So it's really nice to revisit these and get a closer look at them. And if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like so I know to try and do this again in the future. I've got links to all the products that I'm commonly using for these shoots in the description below. If you have any questions, anything that I kind of skipped over, let me know in the comments below as well. Subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and until next time, keep on shooting, YouTube.